Welcome to the Mount Lofty Change Rooms. Just about to have a chat with Benny Goldfinch before our Call of the Wild clash with Lobethal on Saturday.
Take forward. Terrific. You comfortable there?
Yep, very.
Right. High-tech mic.
Yeah, it is.
Now, top of the ladder, one loss?
No, two losses.
Two losses, sorry.
Yep, we've lost to Uradler and we've lost to Nan as well.
If I told you that at the start of the season, would you have taken it?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
What's impressed you most?
About who?
You guys.
Look, I just think our attitude's been fantastic, and we have, shown that we can fight back when we get behind. The boys' attitude to training's been fantastic. They're always out here, always having a crack, looking after each other. They're a really good bunch of lads to coach. And look, I think we've made a few improvements on things that we've tried to tweak, but we're obviously a long way off being where we want to be. So we'll just keep working on getting better at those things for the rest of the season, and hope we're in good shape if we're playing finals.
The two losses, the Uradler match, I was there for that one. What were some of the lessons you learned from that one besides kicking straight? Yeah.
Oh, look, Uradler are a good side. They played well that day. I thought it was a really good game of footy. And, they've got some really good midfielders. I thought they beat us through the midfield. Some really good targets. I thought our backline stood up really well against some really solid forwards. I mean, obviously, Big Jimmy's very hard to stop. You got Trenorden through the middle. You've got Frankie and Nick Amato. So, they've got a lot of guys who can really play. So I thought we matched up okay with them. At the end of the day, they played better footy and deserved to win.
And the other loss was Nan?
Yeah, Nan, another good game out at Nan. Once again, they're a really good team. They've got Drewy up forward, who's very hard to stop. He played a fair bit of midfield that day as well. Brock Knott is a very good ruckman. He was giving their boys, first use of the ball. I thought in the first half, then Riley got on top in the second half. You've got to stop guys like Wimpress and Damo Hill, who are just quality through the middle. And I thought we were probably a bit defensive in the first half. I thought when we were a bit braver and were prepared to attack more in the second half, we played better footy. But once again, they were the better team on the day and deserved to win the game.
Is it a bit of a monkey off the back, the two wins against Harndorf, considering the last win, according to Jaden, I think was 2010, that you'd beaten Harndorf? How big has those two wins been?
Every win is a good win, Benny, and we've certainly struggled against Harndorf in the last, 4 years before this year. And, they're a quality side, a lot of good players. They're very well coached, and to beat them, was really satisfying for the hard work that the boys put in, and then to be able to back it up a few weeks later was quite satisfying as well. But, we know we need to play them again in the minor round, and I'm sure they'll come at us flat out. So that's going to be another tough game when we get to that later in the season. So we're under no illusions of where we're at, and we know we're going to need to play really well against them next time.
All right, you're top of the tree right now, 2025 season. Let's go back. You've just been part of the Call of the Wild commentary team for a couple of seasons. Obviously a tough decision. Easy decision to join Mount Lofty, and it's been a steady improvement. How have you seen the rise of the group overall?
Yeah, the improvement's been good, and if you'd asked me to come back to Call of the Wild halfway through my first year of coaching Lofty, I probably would have jumped back straight away. We weren't in a real good spot, and we were probably a bit further behind what I'd been told we were at.
2022, is that right?
No,
2021.
2021, yeah. Andrew McRitchie told me a lot of lies to get me here, and we needed to build from our youngsters. We were lucky. We had quite a bunch of boys who were down playing SANFL footy at the time, some 18s, some playing reserves, and they decided to come back, and so came back, having been in, that elite junior program and having played some reserves footy and a couple of league games, and we just kept building on that. And those boys at the time were 18, 19, they're now 22, 23, 24, and it's certainly made a big difference. And we've been really lucky that they've stuck together. They're a good bunch of mates. They like playing footy together, so we need to make sure we keep investing in them. Making sure that our oval's good, making sure that we can improve the facilities. The new scoreboard that Chris Illman has got us through a lot of hard work in the last couple of years makes a difference as well. So, yeah, we've been able to grow with that and get a bit better each year, and hopefully we continue to improve this year.
And your coaching group, that's changed a little bit this season, has it?
Changed a little bit. Sammy Miles was part of the coaching group as a player coach, as a forward-line coach, and he's gone down to Sturt to work down there, which is great for him. And really lucky to have Chris McTaggart as our backline coach and assistant coach. He brings a high level of knowledge, good ideas. The drills he does with the boys at training are very good. So lucky to have him, and also Ben Hargey, who's an ex-Sturt player. He's got kids playing at the footy club here. He's come on board as a forward line coach. He's very thorough. He, reviews the game really well, does a lot of homework on the opposition. So, he's brought a lot to us this year as well. We've obviously been a lot better since we got rid of Bruce Lennon. He sort of dragged us down a bit, but, we've been able to build on a fairly slow start.
In terms of the competition this season, it's probably the most even it's been since your involvement.
Yeah, it's a good even comp, and there's no games where you're rolling into thinking we're just going to win this. Every team's got plenty of quality players. Every team on their day can beat anyone else, I think. So yeah, it's a good quality comp. It's about your players being able to keep that concentration going, being able to keep running late in the game. Being able to, be present at every contest rather than drifting off, because, there's not much, that it takes to change a game, especially with the evenness of the comp we've got at the moment.
Just in case, you just tuned in, Michael Bawden, Mount Lofty coach. Where did your footy journey start? And did you think that you'd want to be a coach early days? Yeah, just tell us a little bit about the journey for you.
My footy journey started, my dad wouldn't let me play footy when I was younger. So there was a fair bit of pushing. And finally he let me play, when I was at Linden Park Primary School. So started there, went through the Sturt squads after that, played school footy at Pembroke, probably finished up at Sturt when I was about 24. Then went and played for Riverton Saddleworth Marrable up in the Northeastern Footy League because I was teaching there, and then moved across with my job teaching in Port Lincoln. So played for Waybacks there, then had 2 years as player coach at Cummins Kapini Cougars. That was something I didn't expect to do, but sort of fell into that. And, was probably a player coach for 5 or 6 years. Had my first year coaching when I was 26, and, on and off, bit of work with the seniors at Sturt, coached the under-18s at Sturt for 3 years, moved to Papua New Guinea, and there was no footy, so we started our own little footy league up in PNG, which was great. Came back, was footy director at Pembroke School for 4 years, and then was determined to not coach. I thought my coaching days were done, and then, Mount Lofty needed a coach, and, Brucey Dawes and Andrew McRitchie talked me into coaching here, so I'm glad I did. Really enjoy it.
You've obviously had previous experience in the hills with Achunga. Did you enjoy that time?
Yes, and sorry, I did coach Achunga
for part of our segue.
No, good one. I did coach Achunga for 4 years, and yeah, I loved it. We, whole family really enjoyed being involved at Achunga, and a lot of really good lads. A bit similar, quite similar to this group, like a really good bunch of lads who looked after each other, good bunch of mates, like playing footy together, and yeah, those 4 years at Achunga were really enjoyable. And I'm sorry if anyone from Achunga's watching. I don't know why I forgot that, so I'm glad you brought it up, Benny, because they were good times.
Grand final win against Torrens Valley too, and almost beat them, and I think, or the Powerhouse. You beat them during the season, didn't you?
We did. We beat them in a qualifying final, and then lost to them in a grand final. Yeah, so that's when I finished, and that's when I went down to the 18s at Sturt after that.
All right, so we're just over halfway. You've got a Courier Cup final coming up against Nan, which will be great. What do you hope in the next block of, say, 4 matches to come, or how do you look at it? Just a game at a time, or what do you?
Yeah, look, I know it's an old cliche, but I think what we're looking at is just to keep improving on the 3 or 4 things that we really want to improve on. So, you worry about everything and you want to improve everything, and you also can't do that, and your improvement goes up and down, and improvement's certainly not a linear process. But there's probably 3 things we're working really hard on improving, so we'll continue to work on them and try and make them better and better each week, and some weeks we'll fall backwards, but as long as we keep heading in the right direction, that's what we're looking for.
What sorts of areas you'd like to see some improvement from the guys?
Oh, look, I think our goal kicking is pretty clear. Our goal kicking has let us down, so we're working really hard on that, and we'll keep working hard on that, and it is improving. Forward entries is always something that needs to improve. We're looking to get better at that and making sure that we are not bombing the ball long. That's been, and missing targets. So that's pretty important, and just to make sure we keep on getting our setups right around the ground, and that's more about the instructional voice and the planning and scheming of what's going to happen next. And as our boys, get more confidence in their voice, more of a habit using their voice, I think that will improve as well. But we've certainly got a bit of work to do there.
How have you changed as a coach over the years? Are you different to how you used to be? Obviously, you learn and stuff in different situations, but how have you changed as a coach?
Yeah, I think I changed a fair bit, hopefully. When I was a player coach starting back in 2000, it was more about, get out, get the job done as a player and as a coach, and really trust my bench coach. And, it was 25 years ago, so the way we went about it, we were a lot harsher with each other. There are things that I'd say to players back then that I'd never say to them now. Hopefully a bit calmer than I was, although, as people know, I can blow up as well as anyone.
Do you have the odd paint off the wall, or just when it needs to be, or have these beautiful walls?
Yeah, the paint on these walls is pretty good. But, occasionally you do. Try not to. It's also a fairly emotional game, so sometimes you do blow up, and, that's something that I always work on to not do it. Although, I suppose times like that semi-final when we were behind against Mount Barker up at Achunga, there's probably a bit of paint off the walls from that. I got fairly fired up then because I thought, it was a bit of a waste of effort for the season if we were going to go out in that game, and the boys responded really well. I also think if you're blowing up Deluxe all the time, the boys they're probably having a bit of a laugh at you, and it makes no difference. So try to stay calm. Try to be an instructional coach. Try to encourage the boys to set the standards, and try and encourage the boys to remind each other of the standards, which they're certainly doing pretty well at the moment.
Just a few more. Thanks for your time. Tyson Hone, where's he rate in terms of captains that you've come across?
Look, I've been pretty lucky, but, Tyson's outstanding. He's an outstanding player. He's an outstanding leader. He leads by example. His voice is also very good. So, the way he plays footy, the way he's always got his head over the ball, getting the footy, never loses his feet. He's an outstanding leader. Very good captain. So, and he had some big boots to fill because Alex Weeks being captain before Tyson, well, anyone who knows Hills footy knows how tough Alex is and how well he played. And he was certainly that spiritual leader that we needed, especially coming out of some pretty dark times in 2021, 2022, and getting a bit better in 2023. And, Tyson has, he certainly hit the ground running. The boys look to him as being a leader, and, you only have to watch the way he plays. Yeah, fantastic.
I know you're week by week, quarter by quarter, but the prospect of just bear with me here, the prospect of hosting the grand final and playing in it, you'd like to obviously be involved in that sort of event?
Look, I don't reckon you'd ever front up to pre-season unless you thought you could make a grand final, and you've always got to back yourself. And if people say they're not thinking about playing in a grand final, I reckon they're probably lying. So yeah, we'd definitely love to play in a grand final. We don't care where it is. However, if we can have a grand final here, if we could make it, yeah, it's pretty exciting. But there's a lot of hard work to be done between now and then for if we're going to deserve to be in that game.
And the big screen, it does look beautiful.
The big screen's fantastic. I mean, you get, guys like Decky Carmody up there flexing their muscles, looking pretty handsome. The work that Chris Illman did to get that up has been enormous. And, I don't need to remind anyone how bad our previous scoreboard was. This thing is just magnificent. So, yeah, it's added a lot to our game day experience, I think, and certainly makes us look a bit more professional to go with our new change rooms. The oval's certainly improving. We've had some really good volunteer work of people helping to improve the surface and the grass. So, yeah, it's, thank you to Airsy and Bruce Lennon who have done a mountain of work in that, and obviously, Chris Illman, who continues to support us in every area of the club.
And Saturday, Lobethal here, just winding it out. What are your thoughts? You've had some good contests over recent years against them.
Yeah, we had a really good game with them early in the season, probably something we were pretty lucky to get away with the win there. But, Lobethal are a good team. They've got some good big guys, and their on-ballers are as good as anyone. So, yeah, we're certainly primed to know this is going to be a really tough game, and we are going to have to play our best footy if we're going to win.
All right, boys, thanks very much for joining us. Any final words before, and if it's all right, we potentially go on a little bit of a tour at ground level of the new setup here?
Yeah, we certainly can. I reckon you've done that tour before, though, Benny, so we don't want to bore anyone, but... we can do that if you like.
Just a quick look once over. Thanks again.
Sure, no worries.
Hold on to that.
Gotcha.
All right, here we go, boy. All right, take us all just off the screen. Yeah.
Okay, so new change rooms are fantastic.
Point where you want.
Yeah, all right. New change rooms are fantastic. They've been here a couple of years. A lot of work, hard work from a lot of people, but especially like Scott Taylor, who was our president. The amount of work he did to get this place going was brilliant. Chris Illman, again, a lot of work from him. Rob Sampson, and I'm sure I've missed some people, and apologies to them, but there was a lot of people who put a lot of work in to get this place up and going, and it's so much better. Over in the corner, we got Decky Carmody and Sammy McTaggart getting ready. Over here, we just have pictures of our leaders. Our three key words that the boys agree on are ruthless, trust and respect. So we got the Shermanator in the corner, Harry Weeks in the middle. We've got Big Riley getting a hit out. Then, Tyson, our captain, with courage, being pretty apt for him. Decky with respect, and Ash Eckerman on the other end of it. They're our six player leaders. And if you come in here, we've got the change rooms. We've got Nikki, who's our superstar head trainer, getting Archer taped. Arch has spent a bit of time in the medical room this year, unfortunately, but getting the ankles done. And not sure if he's going to get his nose taped up, but we'll see how that goes. And then Benny, forward line coach Hargs has just moved into the rooms, just having a whisper. He tries to get everyone to play in the forward line. So he'll be whispering to a few blokes, you playing the forward lines this week, can you play? We can't fit 21 blokes in the forward lines, Hargs. So and Sammy's definitely playing on the wing, but, Decky's a chance to play forward, so we'll see how we go. And, we've got our storeroom here. We tidy it up and then it just falls apart as well. But, we're pretty lucky. It's a good facility with that. And then if you come down here, pretty controversial.
What are your thoughts?
Well, Jake, here comes Jake Aish. He's one of our best showerers. Jake, what are your thoughts on having individual showers rather than group showers?
I don't like it.
What don't you like about it?
I want to talk to the boys.
That's right. That's right. So, yeah, the boys would like, back to the big showers, but we understand why we can't do that. So, yep, we've got our individual showers here. Here comes Taz. And, just down, you probably don't want to go down there. You've got the line marker. Brucey Dawes would be getting the line marker charged up. to make sure he can draw some good lines for us, which he does voluntarily every week. And we love the work he does. Up here, respect is, trust is, they're a couple of our key words, and I've got ruthless off because I was using that for something else.
He's fully right.